An
Nice.
immaculate inning. 9-pitch, 3 strikeout. Rarely happens in baseball.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Immaculate Inning Podcast. We got 2 people this week, so I'm not by myself. Shane's back. We took the day off yesterday. Shane's been traveling. Got back from New York this weekend, and yesterday was Easter, and so we just decided to record today. But we're excited to be back. We've got a fun episode planned out today. I think you guys will enjoy it. So, Shane, what are we doing today?
We're doing something that's personally one of my favorite things to do, and that's predict award winners way too early after
Oh,
the
yeah.
first 4 or 5 games. But that's kind of the fun of it. So, yeah, I mean, I had a blast just even picking them by myself, and I'm excited to see reactions to mine from Drew, and I'm excited to react to what Drew picks. So, yeah.
Yeah, let's get underway. I think we can start with the kind of less exciting awards first, and then kind of move into some of the bigger ones. But we'll start with Comeback Player of the Year. We can start in the NL. I'll start. I mean, I've got O'Neal Cruz, coming off the fractured foot last year. Great start. Last year's looking to kind of pick up where he's at. So I feel like that's, I don't know. Comeback Player of the Year is like, it's just kind of arbitrary, but I think that's a guy to watch out for to have a big year.
Yeah, I agree with that. He could be a really good pick for that award, and I actually have his name somewhere else in this podcast, so I will wait for that. But I have I have Chris Bryant actually, because I still think he's a high level player. I just don't think he's been healthy enough to actually provide any stats.
Well, to be fair, we are doing this after opening day, but he struggled this weekend, I'm pretty sure. I think they benched him. I
Did
think
they bench him?
They gave him the day off on Sunday, scheduled like rest day or whatever. He has not gotten a hit in 12 plate appearances this year. So
That's just I actually didn't know that, but I'm sticking with my pick. I made it. I still think he's a talented hitter. It's such a, I mean, and it's 2 seasons with let me find some of his stats because
before he got hurt last year, like he was still an above average hitter when healthy. He just lost a lot of his power, which is really weird because he went to Colorado. But after he kind of came back last year, he struggled, I think. But yeah, let me know when you get those stats.
Yeah, his first year at Colorado, he only played 42 games and had a 306 average. And then last year he batted 233, which is not great, but he did have 10 bombs and he was a below average hitter last year. So I mean, again, it sets him up for the Comeback Player of the Year award. I mean,
it does. Yeah, that's a solid pick. I mean, that's a great player. Like Chris Bryant, everybody loved him with the Cubs. He got the payday that he deserved, and it just hasn't worked out. So love to see him kind of get back to what he, kind of close to what he used to be. That would be awesome. So AL Comeback Player of the Year. Who do you have, Shane?
I got Vlad Jr. I feel like this is a pretty obvious pick.
Ooh, interesting.
Because he really, I mean, he was not the Vlad Jr. that people expected. I think I think he could be in the MVP conversation, and if he is, and I think he's almost a sure lock for this award.
Yeah,
just because you have somebody of that caliber that struggled and came back. Gosh, there's another person I was thinking of. I'm blanking. I had another one that I want to do like a little sleeper pick, not that Comeback Player of the Year sleeper pick, but yeah, that's my pick is Vlad Jr. for that one.
Interesting. I guess some people. I mean, he was a productive hitter last year. He had a WRC plus of 118. He hit, where his hitting stats? He hit 264 or 345 with a 444 slugging. So, and then a WOBA of 340. So, it's an interesting pick. I don't think it's wrong. Like, I think that's a good pick. But I think a lot of people would be like, oh, what? He was a good hitter last year. He can't win Comeback Player of the Year. But I think you're right. If he does get back up into that MVP caliber type season type player that he has shown he can be, like, I think that's a good pick. My pick, funny enough, also a Blue Jay, Joey Votto. I guess this is a contingent on whether he actually makes the team or not. But I mean, how could you not cheer for Joey Votto? I mean, finally gets his shot. Just just a great personality, guy that just loves baseball, breathes baseball. I mean, just goes out there and gives it his all. How could you not want it for him? One of the greatest first basemen of our generation. Obviously, we're a little bit younger than a lot of baseball viewers. Kind of hardcore baseball viewers. But if that those 2010s, man. I mean, there really weren't any other hitters that were better than him. I mean, he was just on another planet. So that's my pick. We'll see if he may not even make the team. So we'll see. But yeah.
Yeah, I'd be kind of surprised, honestly, if he plays more than a couple games.
Yeah,
I
I'm
guess
actually
that's
gonna
kind of
look up where he's at right now because I know he watched um their like home
opening
opener
day.
in the
Yeah.
stands. Um,
In this article, the two other candidates that were very highly in the AL were Carlos Rodon and Jeremy Pena, which are also two good candidates, I would say that
yeah,
means.
but yeah, I didn't find anything on like a timeline for Votto or whatever. But yeah, let's get into manager of the year. Um, I don't know. I mean, sometimes like this just goes to the team that had the best record. Sometimes it, goes. I don't know. I feel like this one's kind of arbitrary, and it really is hard to really pin down what makes a good manager. Um, and because manager, I don't know. There's just so much that goes into it, but um, I guess let's start in the AL this time. Um, who who do you have?
It's funny that this is probably my biggest sleeper pick of all the picks is the manager of the year. But I have Matt Quatraro, the Royals, after they win the AL Central. I think that the Royals will win the AL Central. That hurts me to say, but the White Sox are 0-4, so I think I can, you know, calm down on the White Sox hype or anything.
Not
But
a
I
strong
honestly
showing
think,
today.
geez, don't talk. Yeah, we don't need to talk about that, Joe. I knew you were going to bring that up. Ozzy's good. I get it.
No,
All right.
I don't know if you saw this, but there was a whole minute delay because y'all didn't have a first base coach. It
Oh,
was,
really?
it was bad. It was awful.
Well, maybe you went up in the stands to join the five people we had in the stands. So,
Probably.
yeah. So I didn't even know who the Royals coach was before I looked it up. But Matt Quatraro, I think the Royals, are set up to surprise some people, and I think that could, if he wins the division, that could set him up for a Manager of the Year award.
Yeah, that's where I was going to. I feel like I don't know. I mean, manager, it's so hard to really hand out that it would be like who's a good manager, but I think the Royals are taking a big step forward. I don't know if they'll win the Central, but I think they'll be close, and I think they'll be contenders this year. I think it'll be kind of like an Orioles situation where they win closer to probably like 70 or 80 games this year, get close to a playoff spot. And then, maybe next year is when they really start to contend for the
You
division.
picked him too.
Um, yeah.
That's funny. That's crazy.
Well, they
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
like I can't go. I would love to go Ron Washington, but the Angels suck. And like, everybody else is kind of like, I feel like that's a team that I feel like the AL is like the good teams are good. And if you have a good manager, like it kind of helps, but if you have a bad manager, it doesn't necessarily kill you. And
Yeah.
like I feel like the Royals are one of the few teams in the AL where it's like, they've got some really good guys. They got some guys that you're kind of like, oh. And I feel like they'll have a lot of games that kind of are contingent on what does the manager do in pitch hitting situations, like defensive shifting situations, like who he goes to out of the pen, stuff like that. So I feel like talent wise, the Royals are in a place where having a good manager is good or having a bad manager will hurt them. Fun fact though, they actually have a replay guy and he's like famous. I read an article
Oh
about
yeah,
him.
I've watched the video on this.
Yeah, and
Very
it's like,
cool.
and he's like the best replay guy like in the league, and he
Yeah.
just like he sits in his little office and he watches the replays and he calls and he's like, all right, you got to review it, and so they review it, and it's like it's insane, and so that goes. I'm gonna give that to the manager, and so we'll see if that helps him out. But they're like the best in the league about winning challenges.
Yeah, I watched that. I did want to say that the kind of similar thing for me. I was tempted to pick, not that I like him, AJ Hinch from the Tigers, just because I think it's
Okay,
a
yeah.
similar potential. Like both these teams are like, I don't think the Twins are good enough to really like have a sure lock on the division. And those two teams would be the one. I mean, the Guardians can sneak up, I guess, but those two teams, I think, have theoretically the potential to make a huge jump and win that division. I mean, that probably like an 85 win season. That's all you have to do to win that division. But like
Yeah.
that still would be. So I guess AJ Hinch is another one that would be that was my second choice.
Yeah, I like that. I agree. I like that. I was thinking about him too, and but I like the Royals, so I wanted to go with them.
Yeah,
So
I
we'll
agree.
do move on to the NL for Manager of the Year. I have Mike Schilt of the Padres. For
Okay.
me, it was between him or Bob Melvin with the Giants, but I think, and this is kind of my thinking with the Royals, I feel like the Giants made some really good offseason acquisitions that'll really help boost them. And I feel like the Padres are kind of in that limbo area. Like the Giants, in doing what they have done, have kind of elevated themselves talent wise above the Padres. But I still think the Padres are very talented. But I just think that, having a good manager that makes good decisions could make them, potentially better than the Giants, or it could make them really bad. So that's kind of my thinking behind that is, they're kind of in that limbo area. And if they do well, maybe it is, new face, new manager coming in after, all the locker room stuff last year, So, I'm riding with the Padres, Mike Schilt. Great manager, very legendary. So
I'm staying in the West and I'm going with Torey Lavulo. Um, I want the D-backs. I think people don't realize that they were a team that was what 3-4 games above 500 last year. Like I know they had that
it
magical
had a
run, but we're
negative run
talking
differential by like
yeah,
20. It was like 20 or 24.
so we're talking about um, a team that squeaked into the playoffs, was not a particularly great regular season team, and then went on a magical run. They've made some key additions that I think legit could propel them to a top three NL team. I don't think they're quite as good as the Dodgers and the Braves, but I think they're, in my mind, they're the next team down. I think they're better than the Padres. I think they're better than the Giants. I think they're the third best NL team. Phillies would be the only one,
Okay.
but I honestly think they might be better than the Phillies.
Ooh, I don't know.
Hot take for me, but I really
That
like the D-backs
lineup
roster.
in the top three, who has a, I mean,
With Jordan
I guess,
Montgomery though on
and
that
Erod.
staff now,
No,
yeah,
I see what you're saying. It's hard for me, but I just think there's too many unknowns with that D-backs team. Like the Phillies, like they've been there, done that basically. Like, and I know they just lost to the Diamondbacks, but like, like Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, like these are guys who have like not really been on the big stage a whole bunch. Erod obviously has with the Red Sox. Jordan Montgomery definitely has, but like, and Brandon Fat, was lights out in the postseason. But like Gabby Moreno, Quintel Marte, Corbin Carroll, Alec Thomas, like Lourdes Gurriel, like these are all guys who are like coming off like their first, or like, and Christian Walker, like Christian Walker was really bad during the World Series too. Like, these
yeah.
are guys who have not really been in the postseason a lot, and kind of, an inexperience could come back and hurt them in the postseason. But now that I think about it, I'm like, oh shoot, that lineup's pretty good, and that staff is really good. Um, so I
Yeah, I
don't
mean
know.
they
You
even
might be right.
added like they added. I always struggle. Eugenio Suarez. I mean
Yeah,
that's yeah, add another power bat. Like I mean
big
they bring
strikeout
back.
potential though.
I mean their weakest is probably right field with Jake McCarthy, and it's because I believe Randall Grichuk is on the IL. The addition of Jock Peterson as the DH, like I just think they made some bigger moves on the pitching front, but even on the offensive front, they made small moves that I think are gonna make a pretty big difference.
Yeah. Well, who was it? Blaze Thomas they called up,
Blaze
right?
Alexander, right? I
Blaze,
thought it
okay, because
was.
Blaze Thomas is the guy with the Red Sox. Blaze Alexander. Yeah, what they called him up. He plays infield. Jordan Lawler is basically their full-time shortstop, which, he was a little iffy in some short stints last year. And I think they'll have Corbin Carroll and Wright a good bit this year too. Um, with Alec Thomas playing center. That's what they did some last year. So right, They've got some question marks, but they definitely have a good team. And I don't hate what you just said about them maybe being better than the Phillies. So
Yeah, I mean, I really just like the team, honestly. So maybe I'm biased, but yeah. So that's my pick. I think we can move on to more interesting awards now.
all right, where do we want to go? Do we want to do MVP or Cy Young?
We got. I think we do Cy Young and save big hitter for last. What NL Cy
Okay,
Young
okay.
since we started with the AL or we
Yeah,
AL.
yeah.
So
Let's do NL Cy Young.
um, I think this is the year that Strider gets it. I'm gonna give it
Okay.
to him. I think with Burns out of the NL, um, I don't think. I mean, it's kind of hard to bank on Snell being that. I mean, I think it's gonna be Gallen, Webb, Strider. I don't think it's gonna be much different. My
We
sleeper
also don't
pick,
know
which
how much
isn't,
time Snell's gonna miss too. Like we don't know when he's
yeah,
gonna come back, so he could miss significant
I
time.
two sleeper picks. One of them's not really a sleeper. Zach Wheeler. He's gonna be in that conversation too, in my eyes.
Yep.
My other actual sleeper pick is Shota Imanaga. He looked gross,
He
and I
did look
really like the
gross.
way he pitches.
Six
So that's
innings
my sleeper
today,
pick.
no runs. He was
Yeah.
good today.
So,
Yeah, I like that. That's those are good. Oh yeah, we also have to do rookie of the year.
okay. Yeah. These
We'll do
are.
that after
Yeah.
Cy
Okay.
Young. I just remember that.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was thinking about that earlier today and I forgot. Yes, so we gotta do rookie of the year after Cy Young. I think my Cy Young is I'll go with Strider. I think that's the right pick, but I really want to go. I guess I've kind of got a sleeper pick. I think my two sleeper picks will probably be Logan Webb, and I don't know if that's necessarily a sleeper pick because what he finished second last year, but I think their defense just got a whole lot better with Jung Ho Lee, and then they put Matt Chapman at third, and then a full season of Patrick Bailey behind the dish. So I think their defense is going to help him out a lot because he's a big ground ball guy. Um, so I like him. And then I'm also gonna go. I guess this isn't necessarily a big sleeper, but Zach Gallen, in Arizona. I mean, he's kind of been there. He's been close. I think this is the year that he really puts together an awesome first season, or not.
Yeah.
Sorry, full season, not first, full.
I think Strider is probably the favorite in most
Yeah.
lists that you look at. So I mean, I don't disagree. So and
You know
my
what's
AL Cy
interesting?
Young is. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say it's interesting that you said Shota Imanaga and not Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I find that interesting that you
I'm
put.
not sold on Yamamoto. We've had this conversation before, I think. I'm not sold on Yamamoto. I'm a big Kodai Senga guy, and I actually might have picked him if he was healthy to start the year, honestly.
Yeah, and it's the shoulder stuff too. That's always scary.
He is disgusting. I think Yamamoto's gonna be good, but I'm not sold on him being like one of the top level. And honestly, I might pick Glasnow above him, even with Glasnow's injury. But I think Glasnow's a better pitcher when he pitches.
Yeah. No, I mean I'm not. I think Yamamoto's good, but I'm not sold on him being perennial Cy Young guy. I mean, I just think the fastball grades out poorly. I just and I guess it plays well off the curveball, but the fork ball over and I know this is and we don't have to get too far into this, but I know this was in Korea, so he was in America, he was in Japan, went to America, played here for a little bit, then went to Korea and then came back. And he did look good last week against I forget who they played, the Cardinals, I think. But the
Yeah,
fork was all over the place in Korea. The fastball was not located very well. His cutter did not look great. His curveball when he's able to play it well off his fastball, I think is somewhat effective, but I just think we've kind of moved away from guys throwing that big slow curveball off of the fastball. And then this is kind of like Strider. Strider added the bigger, slower curveball this offseason, but in the way that he's thinking about it is, and this is I think different from how Yamamoto throws his, is Strider's trying to play his curveball off of his slider, which is really interesting. But so
yeah,
he's adding it to add because he did this with his slider some last year where he would throw it at different speeds and kind of change the movement. And now he's just like adding a concrete pitch. So instead of trying to throw the big, slower, the low 80s curveball off the high 90s fastball, he's throwing it off the slider in situations where he wants to go to the slider, but the slider's not the best option. So now he can go curveball. So I think Yamamoto will be good, but the control has been a little shaky. I'm not super hot on the fastball or the curveball. I think the fork is good if he can throw it for strikes, but I think, yeah. So we got a little off track there, but yeah. So AL Cy Young.
I mean, I also went with the front runner here, Corbin Burns. I just
Okay.
think Baltimore is a perfect place for him to be. I think that team's super talented. I think he's going to get the run support he needs. I mean, obviously looked great in his first outing with 11 Ks, 6 innings of scoreless, or excuse me, one run ball to the Mike Trout homer. It was basically Corbin or Orioles versus Mike Trout. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just a perfect situation for Corbin Burns, and he's going to win a second Cy Young and be one of those. I don't know how many pitchers have done it, but not many have won a Cy Young in both leagues. So
Yeah.
that'll be pretty cool. And my sleeper pick is Pablo Lopez. I think he's always been kind of around that area, and I think he really breaks out, could really sneak himself into the real conversation,
Yeah.
especially if the Twins turn out to be, the division winners like people expect.
So I guess I technically have three sleeper picks. And I believe they all come out of the Central, but the guy that I'm picking to win the Cy Young is Tyler Scoble. Um,
Tariq Skubal,
or
yeah.
Tariq. Yeah, sorry, Tariq. Yeah. My bad. He's disgusting. Uh, I think he's
You're gonna
really
say
good.
Cole Reagans too, aren't you, as a sleeper?
Oh no! Dang it! I was not gonna say him. Oh my
Oh,
gosh, I forgot about him. But he's so good. Oh, it's so tough. No, and then I was gonna go Pablo Lopez as well, and then I was going to go Casey Mize,
oh yeah, I
two
like that.
Tigers.
Okay. Yeah.
So, uh, dang. Oh, I really like Cole Reagans too. Dang it, I forgot about him. All right, well I'm gonna rock
Which
with my three that I picked. But I do. No, I'm taking Pablo Lopez out and I'm putting Cole Reagans in. That's what I'm doing.
no Corbin Burns is crazy to me. I mean, I guess, but
He's great, but he's regressed the past 2 seasons. I think he's got a good, I think he's on a good team, but I just don't think I think we've seen the last of dominant Corbin Burns. Like I think he's going to be great. I think he will be dominant, but just not the way that we have grown accustomed to seeing him the past 5 seasons or whatever. So,
interesting. You don't think that? I mean, what do you think of his fit in Baltimore?
oh, I think it's a great fit. I love it. Like, I think that's a perfect place for him. He's the front runner to this young rotation, it gives some of these younger guys who are coming back from injury or just young time to just pitch and just, be pitchers and not have this immense pressure on them to perform because they're battling for that one spot. They can just kind of go. And I'd be surprised with Baltimore if they re-sign him next year. I think this is just all right, we're going to give Bradish, Means, G-Rod just some time to just kind of breathe, pitch, low stress kind of not, and give us time to just let them kind of develop and grow as pitchers, and then we'll kind of move forward next year. Um, but I really like the fit. I think that was a great move by the Orioles. I think they somehow didn't give up a whole bunch, which is good. I did like these. It was less about Corbin Burns not being good and more about I really like these guys, and I also don't want to
Mhm.
pick just like Corbin Burns. Like I want to kind of do like something cool. I guess I don't
I
know,
get that.
but these guys have great. All there's so many good pitchers. I mean, we could go down a whole list and create like a whole thing. We could do that. It'd be really easy, but we're not going to for time's sake and for our sake. But yeah, so.
Um, I guess we move on to rookie of the year just before we go to the big. Um, let's start with NL. I guess I think I'd love to go Shota Imanaga, just like I said, because I think he'd be sleeper pick for Cy Young. But I think in most awards that include everybody, they tend to weight hitters more than pitchers. So I'm gonna go with Jung Ho Lee as my pick. Um, but I guess those are my two guys, Shota Imanaga and Jung Ho Lee, two of the foreign guys that came over to play in the NL.
Okay. Wait, what'd you say? You said who did you say again? Sorry, I was looking something up.
I said Jung Ho Lee just because they weight hitters more than pitchers, but
Okay.
I said Shota Imanaga as well,
Okay.
like those two guys.
Yeah, I feel like those are the top two. Um,
Yamamoto is always going to be in that conversation. But again, I'm not sold on
yeah.
him.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I mean that's kind of who I was thinking about too. I'm trying to think of like, I mean,
There's
you could throw Jordan Lawler in there maybe, with the D-backs
Jackson
shortstop.
Chourio, Jackson
Jackson
Merrill, I think.
Churios. I mean, he's just so young though. Like he hasn't even played above Double A. And I know I'm a Braves fan, and we just be yanking guys out of Double A all the time, and they perform. But it really is really rare to just yank guys out of Double A and just them kind of perform. Um,
The one I really like, other than the two guys I mentioned, was actually Kyle Harrison with the Giants. I like.
yep.
I think he's gonna have a solid year, but we'll see. I don't know if it's quite gonna be rookie of the year level, and I think those two guys are gonna be better. But
I mean,
yeah,
I think if it were me, like I'd probably do the same thing as you, Jung Ho, and then Shota, and then probably Yamamoto floating somewhere around three. But
um, AL. I know everybody's riding the Wyatt Langford hype, and I think he's gonna be good. But I actually would go with Evan Carter. I think Evan
oh,
Carter is gonna.
that's what I was gonna do.
Oh, sorry. I just think the experience with him last year is really gonna give him the upper hand. And I would pick Jackson Holiday if he was starting the year in the
Oh my
majors,
gosh.
but I don't know if it's a service time thing or what they're thinking, but I mean he's got
Yeah.
to come up. I think him and Skeens are going to come up. Maybe not. Well, I assume Skeens, but if the Pirates are tanking, you never know.
Skeens
But
had his like debut in the minors or something in AAA the other day. I think it was today or yesterday. 3 innings, 9 batters faced, no hits, no walks, 5 Ks. So
yeah,
he may be looking ready. Um, but yeah,
the
sorry, I
five
didn't
and zero
mean to.
Pirates too.
The 5-0 Pirates.
They always do
Um,
this though. They always start off the season so hot, and then like 40 games in, they start tanking. They did the
yeah,
same thing the past 2 years. I was riding
I
the hype both years. I'm not riding the hype this year.
I don't like the lineup. I don't like the lineup. I'll be honest. But yeah, I'm going Evan Carter as well. I think what sells me over Wyatt Langford too is the ability for him to play a defensive position at a plus. Like Langford is a guy who, and let me look this up just to make sure I'm correct. But I believe he was the backup catcher with Florida before his junior year, and then he switched to outfield. But let
He
me,
was. You were correct.
yeah. So yeah, and they have tried. Yeah, he's an athletic guy, and I think he could pick it up. But they've tried to kind of move him around in the outfield, and this was the big knock against him over Dylan Cruz. This is why I believe Dylan Cruz went above him in the draft. Is they Langford's seeming kind of to sometimes struggle out there in left in college, and he did play some center, and he just never just couldn't quite figure it out. He's got the athletic prowess, he can do it. It's just the inexperience, and so I think there will be some growing pains there. There's also not really anywhere to put him in that Rangers lineup because of Evan Carter. Um, so that's kind of like Langford will get at bats, but it'll be harder just because of how Carter performed last year during the end of the season and then into the postseason. So I'm going Evan Carter as well. So
I think Langford will just be that steady DH for them for now, unless something happens. Or
yeah.
I think that's a pretty solid spot for him. But I'm excited to get to my MVP picks, not for the guys I picked, but for the sleeper picks. Um, would you like me to start it off, Drew, or do you want to get it kicking?
Oh, you can start. You can start. I'll let you start.
So I'll start with NL. I gave it to Mookie.
Okay.
Um, I mean that's you can never go wrong with that. I just think he's been so consistent, and with Otani not pitching, I just don't think Otani's offensive production is going to be better than Mookie's offensive and defensive production. And the move to short is even going to be more impressive, I think, to the voters. So I just think this, and I mean, obviously you have Acuna who's gonna put it up, but just their run that Mookie made at the end of the year to make it even interesting last year was incredible, and I think this is a Mookie Betts second MVP year. Um, my sleeper pick was O'Neal Cruz, which is funny that you mentioned him. I think, uh, I mean, if he performs to an MVP level, doesn't get the MVP, he's gonna be that comeback player of the year. But he was my sleeper pick. I think he's super talented, and I hope he stays healthy. Hopefully, the White Sox catcher doesn't truck him again this year. Or he doesn't slide funny into Sevy Savala. So,
Yeah.
yeah, those are my picks.
Okay. Um, I like those. That's definitely a good pick. I think Mookie is definitely probably up there. I think a lot of projections have it's like him and Ronald at 1 and 2, kind of interchangeable. Um, I'm interested to see how this move to shortstop affects him. I did not pick him to win the the MVP. Who I picked, I technically have two sleeper picks because the guy that I picked it is definitely a sleeper. Although I don't think he's actually that much of a sleeper. I picked Corbin Carroll to
Okay.
win it. I think he takes. I mean, there's not much more that he can do, but I just think that he continues to get better and continues to chase these guys down. I mean, he was right there with them, with Ronald Acuna and Mookie and Freddie and Matt Olson last year in terms of WAR and all that. Like, he really like he's an all-star, MVP guy. Like, I think that he'll take the step forward this year, and this is the perfect time for him. The D-backs are really hitting their stride right now with their lineup and all that, and how their franchise is constructed. So I think that he uh, will take it home. My sleeper pick. You can't go. You can't do anything without seeing a Brave at the top. And I was going to go with one Brave, but now I'm pivoting to another one because this is probably my favorite player. I'm going Austin Riley at the hot corner. This is a guy who came up playing third base. We called him up in 2018, 2019, put him in left field, and he sucked. We sent him back down. Well, he sucked at defense. He actually hit really well. He came up for his full rookie season, played really well. A guy who's made immense strides defensively over there at third, has been a consistent bat for us. Kind of had a down year last year, kind of, if you want to call it that. Definitely can hit better than that, I believe. But I think he takes that final step forward, and really solidifies himself as one of the best, as probably top two, him and J Ram, third basemen in the league. And I think he kind of already is there, but I think he really just like propels himself to that next level. And I think he has a career year at the plate. Um, but yeah, I mean, he's a bigger guy, plays his defense has gotten so much better. And I think it's going to be elite this year. I mean, he hits the ball for power. He's actually ranks in the 72nd percentile for speed. So it doesn't seem like it when you look at him. He's a big dude and he's thick, but he can move out there. So that's my sleeper. I don't think anybody will pick him, but I don't know. I thought it'd be fun. I was gonna go Matt Olson, and then I was like, nah, I'm gonna go Austin Riley.
I mean, I don't think that honestly. I think that's a pretty decent pick. I mean,
Yeah.
I think he's been in that conversation. Kind of around that conversation a lot, so he could make that leap. Um, I think I'm just gonna move right into AL MVP. And it's kind of ironic. I didn't even realize I did this when I chose, but I chose both runner-ups for last year. I chose Corey Seager in the AL. I just think I think he's I think he's the best hitter in the AL. I mean, I just think it's straight up. He's kind of underrated. People don't realize how good of a hitter he's been his whole
Oh,
career.
oh
He was
yeah, he's elite.
ridiculous last year. Just because, I mean, the only reason is that you take I'd say 80% of the MVP races and you put him in there, he would have won it last
Oh,
year. It just
absolutely.
happened to be Otani.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he's my MVP pick, and then my sleeper is a guy that you really like, and I'm going on is Bobby Witt.
Yes. Oh,
Uh,
I love Bobby Witt. I love Bobby Witt.
yeah, he's my
Probably,
sleeper pick.
probably my favorite non-Brave.
He's really fun to watch. I can't argue with that. He's in the Central, and I mean I don't really now. I mean kind of irrelevant for the White Sox. But yeah, he's my sleeper pick.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break because we're almost out of time on our free Zoom session, and then we'll get my picks, and then we'll probably preview a few things and look forward to the rest of the week. So we'll see you all in a second. It's time. It's time for my picks. So I'm so torn. There's so many good options, and you know, everybody's, gonna be going Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Julio Rodriguez, blah 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 blah. Mike Trout's his return to stardom, which that would be awesome actually to see Mike Trout, do Mike Trout things. But I've got to go. I gotta go with my guy. I gotta go with my guy. I'm gonna have to get a jersey or something. Like I'm gonna have to invest like in this guy's career somehow. Like I'm going Bobby Witt. And we all knew it, hopefully everyone knew it. I love this guy. I mean, I think I don't really know why. I just think he's a cool dude. I've watched a few of his interviews. He's a great guy. He loves baseball, just loves baseball. But I think part of the reason I'm drawn to him is like he was number one prospect and he came up and he was bad. Like he struggled at the plate and he struggled on defense. And he has grinded and has gotten so much better. I mean, what do he have? He had I think he had he almost had a 30, I think he had a 30-50 season last year. Like he popped out and he played really good defense and has continued to get better. And I love what you said about Corey Seager because I definitely agree. But I don't know. And so I gotta go with my guy, Bobby Witt, man. Like he's the GOAT. Like I love him. He's a baller. Um And this is I probably will put my sleeper pick. I'll probably give it to another guy who's really good at baseball, Mike Trout. First home run of the season. Pretty awesome. He hit a ball 473 feet today in Miami. He hit a ball 473 feet today.
That's his second
For
home run.
his
He went off of Burns.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So he's got 3 homers. One was the first homer of the season. One could potentially be the longest home run of the season. And he's got another one thrown in there just for fun. So yeah.
Bobby Witt he had 30 home runs exactly and 49 stolen bases.
Okay, yeah. So he was like super close. I knew it was like I couldn't remember if he got there or not. But just an athletic guy, loves ball, loves to play, just super talented, just super fun to watch.
And he's off to a hot start. I agree. I think he's my sleeper pick just because I think he's I mean, in my opinion, obvious MVP pick for years to come. I think he's just a year or two out of being that MVP. I just think Corey Seager is just such a dude. But I mean, obviously, I love the pick, and I'm not I mean, Aaron Judge can win MVP if he does Aaron Judge things again. I just whether he stays healthy and does that. Juan Soto, I don't know. He's always been in that conversation, but just never done enough to get over that hump. So I'm not completely sold on that one. So.
I think he falls more into the Yordan Alvarez category of players, like one of the best pure hitters on the planet, but just doesn't add a lot of value. Like defensively, he's just not a great defender. Although he had a great throw the other day. I guess it was opening day against the Astros, cut down the win. I actually watched it live. I was like, I think the game was on while I was at work. And just like cut him down at the plate. Honestly, it was low-key not even that good of a throw, but like it was close enough. It was good enough, but it was a good play. And and then Jordan obviously no defensive value and also doesn't stay healthy. So I think those guys are two guys who it's like you want to give them the Cy Young, but you just can't because there's just not a lot of production outside of the bat. There's just so, but. Yeah, I think we've got good picks.
I did too. I think we made it entertaining enough, but not outlandish that it's to the point where it's like, yeah. So I'll let you. What do you want to do, Drew?
I like if we just if we hit the undefeated teams. We opening day was last Thursday. So everybody's played one series. Everyone's played at least 4 games, I believe, right? 3 or 4 games. So
Yeah.
let's shout out the guys that are on pace to go 162-0.
The first one hurts my heart a little bit to say. The Yankees have not lost a game yet.
They look
They
good.
swept the Astros, who are Astros have not won a game yet. The Yankees are currently in a series with the Diamondbacks and are tied in the top of the first in the first game of that series. So that should be a great series. Go D-backs on that. Another undefeated team, Detroit Tigers, 3-0.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. They're currently in the top of the 10th with the New York Mets and winning 2-0. So likely to get their fourth win.
Have the Mets won a game yet?
The Mets have, I
Yes, they won the
believe.
Saturday
No,
game
they
against.
haven't.
Uh-oh.
They're
Oh
about to be 0-4.
no.
So yes. So I guess I'll shout out the winless teams. The White Sox. The White Sox are no, I don't want to say it. The White Sox are winless.
What how many games did it take y'all to get past first base? It was more than one, correct?
Yeah, because we lost 1-0 on the first game. I think it was the second game. That game was brutal because it was the first game that Garrett Crochet started in his
He looked
career.
good.
Looked phenomenal. I think it's 8 Ks through 6 innings, 1 run, and we lose 1-0. That's the most White Sox thing ever. Garrett Crochet, I was a little suspect, but it looks like it's like keep doing your thing, man. That looks great.
Him and Jordan Hicks looking good. First career starts off flamethrowers that are usually in the pen. So although I think Hicks only went 5 innings, but he looked pretty good too. So yeah,
Both
the
of them
White Sox are bad. But Lou
they
Bob.
turn
Lou Bob looks good.
yeah, he's just jogging the balls again. He did it today against the Braves where he like looked like he was literally just coasting the ball. It just gets me on that Aussie double in the gap. That was
Oh
just
yeah.
annoying me. But yeah, they are winless. The Houston Astros, like I said, are also winless. New York Mets, like you said, 0-3. The Miami Marlins are 0-5 after getting swept by the 5-0 Pirates.
The Marlins look bad.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's super early. Like, there's certain teams that's like the White Sox, they're bad. The Marlins, I mean, I still think they could be a playoff team. Like, I think
I
they'll
don't
be
know.
on
That
the edge.
rotation, man, it's in shambles.
Yeah, because I kind of feel bad because it's because of injury. That rotation could be so good with
Yep.
Luzardo, Alcantara, Yuri Perez. Like that's a really good rotation.
But
So yeah, and Braxton Garrett's still on the team, right? Too.
yes. Yep.
So yeah.
So
Oh, and Edward Cabrera.
mhm.
So like again, that rotation could be real good. So they are winless though. The Pittsburgh Pirates are 5-0.
5-0,
Um,
baby.
they won today against the Nationals. The Brewers are 3-0, which
How about
is
that?
I don't think that's gonna stick. They swept the Mets.
I think the Mets
That's
are
kind of
really bad
interesting.
this year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't just. I mean, I think they have maybe the ability to finish fifth in that division. I think the Nationals could take a little bit of a
Dude,
step
the
too.
Nationals are sneaky, man. Just wait for James Wood. Dude crushes the ball. They've got CJ Abrams over there, Lane Thomas out in the outfield. I don't think Lane Thomas is that good, but I think he's good enough to, give them some solid production. They've got what's his they've got some
Stone,
young
the
pitchers
Jack
too.
guy. I mean, they
Huh?
have Gray. Um,
Gray.
the Josiah Gray. Let
There's
me look
I'm
this.
thinking of like one or two other.
Isn't Mackenzie Gore on the
Yes,
Nationals?
Mackenzie Gore. Yep, because he came over from the Padres with
The,
Abrams, I
the
believe.
yeah, for the Soto trade.
Yep. And then Patrick Corbin still floating around. And hey, funny enough, this is his
Yeah,
last year on this massive contract. And the first year he was really good. So how funny it would be if he was really good, really, really, really bad, and then was really good again in this contract year. That would be pretty cool.
that'd be interesting. The problem with the Nationals, though, and it already showed, they lost today. They gave up back-to-back bombs against the Reds, I
They have
believe,
no
to get beat
bullpen.
today. Yeah, their bullpen sucks. They threw their
Yeah.
best reliever, Kyle Finnegan, and he gave up 2 bombs. So that's gonna. I mean, I think. I mean, I actually the funniest story for me with this team, and I kind of hope it works out. Is Joey Gallo. I hope he has a good year
Oh yeah,
playing
Joey
full time
Gallo too,
first
man.
base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all right, so what are where are we sitting at? So the Pirates, the Yankees, and the Brewers are all undefeated, right? Who else?
Yes, and the Tigers.
And the Tigers, and then the Mets, Marlins, Astros, and White Sox
I could
are
up.
all are all winless.
Yes, I could update it a little bit. Astros are winning 10-0. They're gonna break that
Okay.
streak. Tigers are like I said winning 5-0 now, so they're gonna probably keep that streak. And the Diamondbacks, Yankees, we'll see how that turns out.
Okay.
I mean, again, you have some teams that are looking real good, like the Orioles are 3-1, the Rangers are 3-1, the Braves are 3-1, Dodgers are 4-2. Like teams that are going to continue to
Yeah.
build on that one total. But yeah, those are undefeated and winless teams up to this point.
We'll see if we'll get a 0-162 or a 162-0 season this year. It can still happen. It can still happen. We'll see.
The Pirates, they're the team to do it.
Paul Skeens could come up pitching every 5th day and just carry them to 162-0, man. We'll see. But
yeah.
All right. That's all we've got. Thanks for listening. This was a fun episode. I think this was fun for us to record. So hopefully it's fun to listen to. But as always, thanks for listening. Go follow us on Instagram. Email us any questions or anything like that or suggestions. Share with your friends. That'd be cool. Yeah. So and then the YouTube channel as well. YouTube and Spotify. The YouTube's actually been getting some views recently, which has been kind of cool. Not a lot, but just like a few. So thanks for the people that are watching this. That's pretty awesome. So
that was pretty fun.
Shane,
Peace.
anything else?
Oh,
just peace. Okay, all right.
Peace.
All right, see y'all.